Just realized water is not where you get water. It's the name of the room.
Okay, yeah, that's good. You go straight and take the left. There's a pantry there.
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't realize that there's a room called water. What are the
Yeah,
other
there
rooms
are
called?
Elements.
Elements.
Yeah.
Oh,
Air, earth.
nice. Okay. Can someone from who's joining remotely confirm that you are able to see me as well as the screen and hear me? We'll wait till someone types saying yes. At least that confirms that they can hear me, and hopefully the screen is visible as well.
The screen is definitely visible.
Okay, the screen is definitely visible. Nisarga has confirmed that, but let's see if anyone's able to hear me by maybe just typing a yes. Okay, Satyavrat can see the screen and hear. Okay, thank you, Satyavrat. That is great. We will kick off. We don't really have much of a concrete agenda. We are just going to hack it as we go along. The objective is this. AI is cool.
So your voice is not working so much.
Oh, okay. I'll just speak louder. I'm not using a mic for the room. And yeah, I'll be a little louder. That'll help the streaming and my own recording. Oh, a lot of echo though. Every word like 4 times.
Okay, yeah.
So fine. We are going to have to spend a few minutes sorting out the technical issues for those who are joining in remotely. But in the meantime, everyone else who has not yet decided what data set they want to pick can just take inspiration from what anyone else has picked. Copy, if nothing else, copy paste works very well.
So it's good
The
now.
echo is off now, so
off.
maybe Satyavrat or anyone else who's joined. Okay, that's a +1. Okay, anyone else who's joined remotely, could you confirm if the echo is fine? Okay, Vikas, thank you for confirming. We are good to dive in then. Since we don't really have an agenda, let me share some of the things that I've been playing around with and I'm planning to play around with in this session. So one of the things that, okay, here are some of the data sets that I want to explore. My Google search history, what am I searching for? I'm curious about uploading this year's Google Fit data. I've lost about 20 odd kilos in this year, and I want to see if that correlates with something. I don't know. Depending on which location I am in at any point in time, does that have a higher impact on my weight loss, lower impact on my weight loss? And that's a pattern that I find fairly interesting, which is once you start correlating different parts of personal data, which is in one case my location data, and in another case my Google Fit data, maybe that will give some new insight. The good part is if it doesn't give me new insight, absolutely no problem. I'm on a fixed $20 plan with both Claude and ChatGPT. I'm just exhausting the plan at a faster rate. I never managed to exhaust it fully anyway. So zero harm done either in terms of cost or time. My Linux journal control logs, for those of you who are on Windows, the equivalent of that would be your Windows events that you might export. The reason I'm interested in this is to see if I should fine tune my system. I've been reinstalling Linux a few times over the last few months and trying to see if there is some further optimization I can make or discover something new. My call transcripts, I've been transcribing my calls for quite some time now, and I am curious to see if there is something that I can discover from that. I run a course, and as part of that, I run exams. Now, students' answers are in some way a digital exhaust. And as far as I'm concerned, that is the most interesting part of what I get. So one of the questions that I asked them was, take a bunch of system prompts that should protect secrets. Then create a bunch of user prompts that will try and get the system prompt to reveal secrets and have them fight against each other. I've already run the fights. That is, I've had every system prompt fight against every user prompt, and some of them defeated the system prompts. So I have that data. Now, is there a pattern in that? Is something that I would like to see. What is it that the audience here would like to see? So one of the questions that I had posted on WhatsApp is, can everyone please mention what data sets you're planning to analyze in today's workshop? You don't have to stick to this, but it's always good to have at least one thing that you have as a starting point, because otherwise, what are we going to play around with, right? So I put in all of the stuff that I had on my list that I just walked through anyway. So what about you? Rajat says my Apple Health data, Bhavesh says Google Calendar. Satyavrat says search data. Great. This is good stuff. Google Calendar may not be very large data, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with having small data. If you have 30 data points or more, that's still good. But because this is personal, it's always interesting. Uh, Krishna says Google Takeout data. Now, Google Takeout has a lot of information and you could analyze all of those. But if you have a point of view on, I want to start with this and then this and so on, that is always fun. So my Google Takeout data, if I go to, where did I store that? Documents, Takeout. So in Google Takeout, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I exported a couple of days ago. I usually look at the size of these directories to see where the bulk of the data is, and most of my data is in the Google Fit, all data, some, well, location, active minutes, step counts, and stuff like that, which sounds promising. There also seems to be a fair bit under my activity. That's where the bulk of the data is. My Gemini conversations seem to be the largest, and it's not like I talk to Gemini much. Most of my conversations are with ChatGPT, but even then it's pretty large. Not sure why. Search data, I definitely want to analyze my search data, which is quite extensive. And there's also maps data, I guess all the places that I've been to, all the places that I've searched for. Yeah, definitely interesting to look at. My YouTube searches, my YouTube watches, that's again relatively large. Play Store apps that I've searched for and stuff like that. So yes, that can be pretty solid data. WhatsApp groups are fantastic. The advantage of WhatsApp is it's fairly easy to export from your phone. The disadvantage is that it's hard to get stuff like reactions, who's replying to which thread and so on, but you can actually scrape that. And one of the things that we'll try and do is vibe code a scraper, which will show you a few of the techniques that I've been playing around with recently. We have Jayashree, who's looking at call transcript. That's great. If you've got transcripts, even the audio version of it, great. But if you have the transcripts, that's even better. Pics on the hard drive. I have never tried doing that, partly because the web pictures are not on my hard drive, but that, yeah, can be a really powerful one to explore. OpenAI data, okay, that Deepak could mean either OpenAI's data, like OpenAI the company, or Open AI data. Oh, ChatGPT data. Okay, great, fine. Then that's cool. And Mahesh is picking maps and location data. And yeah, Google says it will take a few days. You might want to split the downloads, Mahesh, into batches. That is, go select in Google Takeout. Let me see if I can do that. Takeout.google.com. And instead of picking multiple items, you pick one by one. So if Google Takeout will ever load, I deselect all and then pick just one of those. If it's assignments, only assignments. And some of these, like my activity, will have a whole bunch of data. When it says activity data, it will by default select all. You could deselect and say, I only want maps. That's download number one. And then download number two is something else. That way, whichever is faster, you'll be able to start analyzing quicker. With and Gmail data, yes, massive, very powerful. How to export Gmail data is a question. If you're using Google Takeout, that will take a few days if you've been using it. Well, I've been using it since 2002 or something like that. So I have more than 2 decades worth of data, and it's a few gigabytes. That can take a long time. Fine. So let's start with the assumption that 80% of you have the data that you want to download, but there's probably a 20% who either don't have the data that you want to download, or there is some other data that you want to download, but you're not able to get it. And we will now move into how does one go about extracting stuff. So one of the techniques that I'm going to look at is how do we build a scraper. The easiest way to build a scraper is to have a large language model build a scraper for some purpose.
Sorry, could you put VS Code online?
Could I put VS Code online?
Like
Theme, dark to right.
Oh, okay. Color theme light.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. That does look so much better. So, and if people who are looking at this on a remote are having any problems with the screen display or something, please again do let me know, or audio for that matter. And as we go along, please just jump in with questions, comments, whatever. So, as a starting point, we will build a scraper. Now, here's the thing. A, the traditional scraper will be where the LLM will say, I will write a Python program or something, but typically it picks Python and visit that particular website and get the data. Now, this stuff you probably already know, or even if you don't, you tell it to do it. For simple sites, it has no problem. The trouble comes when it's a site that you have to log in into, and you don't want to give it your ID and password. Even if you give it your ID and password, that site is smart enough to block some naive scraping attempts. So the only robust way that I have found, sorry, I take that back. The most robust way that I have found so far, not foolproof, is to use the browser itself to scrape. And there are a bunch of ways in which we can do that. So approach number one is CDP. Slightly expensive, but probably the most reliable. What is CDP? CDP stands for Chrome Debugging Protocol, not turning transparency to action. Okay, Chrome, yeah, okay, DevTools protocol maybe. Yeah, sorry, not debugging, Chrome DevTools protocol. If you're using Chrome or Edge or probably even Brave or anything that's Chromium based, you should be able to use CDP. Now, what that does is allows programmatic access to your browser. Now, how do I enable DevTools? Who knows? Let's find out. Let's ask ChatGPT in the fast mode. How do I enable CDP for Chrome, Edge, Brave, etc.? Give me quick one-line instructions. And what I will do is paste this prompt into the chat so that you can run the prompt yourself and figure it out. So Narsimha Prasad says UPI data, yeah, that's cool. If it's your UPI data, then there may not be much. If it's lots of other people's UPI data, that's always fun. So now in my case, I'm using Edge, and it's saying if I just run Microsoft Edge from the command line with remote debugging port equals 9222, it should work. I've already done this. So I can test it by putting in the prompt, how do I know CDP is running? Let's ask. My aim here in giving you the prompts is simply to say, figure out the answers for yourself, but soon we'll get to the stage where we'll say, figure out the questions for yourself as well. Meaning it's exactly the same thing. Right? So it's saying, if I curl the CDP endpoint, I should be able to get to this, which means that there is some link, and this link seems standard, which if I visit, it should work. And if CDP is not enabled, then it won't work. Fine. So I'll copy this link and paste it. And for me, it's saying that I'm running CDP because it provided some response or the other. So here's a request. If you are able to get to the point where you're able to see CDP running because you've run one of these commands on the browser, please put a thumbs up. If you have not, put a thumbs down on any one of these messages. Well, I mean, any one of the last two messages that I sent. So I am going to put a thumbs up. Oh, I can't put a thumbs up on my own message. Oh, I can. Oh, this is nice. Fine. So I have put a thumbs up against my message. If you are not able to put a thumbs down, and maybe I'll come around and help, but more likely I'll just tell you to go to ChatGPT and help yourself. I'll wait till I get maybe 2 or 3 thumbs ups. Yeah, I'm conscious I didn't even check how many people are programmers, how many people are non-programmers, and so on. But these days the distinction has vanished. You ask ChatGPT, it will tell you how to do it, you do it. What difference does it make whether we know how to program or not? For what it's worth, I will put the instructions for Chrome on the screen, which is probably what most people have running.
filters?
It will probably work. You have to go to the command prompt and copy paste this, and it might work. Okay, let's take a look. Chrome. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, okay, tell you. Why don't you copy this, paste it into ChatGPT, and ask it to tell you what to do. So for those of you who are on Windows and it says Chrome is not a command that it can find or some such thing, copy the error message, put it into ChatGPT, and figure it out. By the way, this workshop is absolutely not dependent on you getting any portion of this workshop right. We'll be doing all kinds of things. We don't even know what we're going to do. If this doesn't work for some people, we'll try something else. So let me check. Okay, I'm the only thumbs up so far. I did probably not gauge this correctly. Let's see. Okay, anyone? Yeah, now I'm getting a little desperate. Anyone needs help? And is close enough that if I help, you might be able to get there soon.
Is it supposed to open a page or something?
When you run this command, it should open up Chrome.
But new tab, empty tab.
Probably a new tab or a new window. Does it?
It's opening an empty tab, there's no page.
Okay, perfect. And then you go to localhost /9222, it shows at least an empty page and not an error. See, if you go to an invalid page, it may say something like, can't reach this page. But if you go to a valid one, like port 9222, it'll at least show a blank page. You're getting a blank page?
Can't be reached.
Can't be reached. Okay, then it's not running. Let's see if I can help out anyone on this. Okay, one person at least is able to DB. Thank you. So, okay, that gives me some confidence that there is hope in this direction. Yeah, no, if you could go back to the command prompt where you started it. Did you start on the command prompt anywhere? Yeah, on the terminal. Okay. Opening in an existing browser session. Okay, could you close Chrome and then run this again? Close all of your Chrome sessions and then run this once.
Browser, I tried to run.
Okay, this works. Great. Yeah, you are set. And then on the browser, you go to localhost /9222. It should show you a blank page.
So I run a curl.
Yeah, this is working. This is great. No, the fact that it's not showing an error is it.
see.
Yeah. Okay, so we have more success than I anticipated. Anyone else? If you're on Windows, I will probably, well, maybe you can just watch someone.
I get this.
Okay, could you show me your the way you ran the command? Non-default data directory. Okay, you may want to try closing all your Chrome instances and then starting. That might help, but yeah, otherwise ChatGPT. Anyone else close to failure success?
So you have to, how do I install the instance?
On the command line, where did you run the CDP command on the terminal?
I didn't because I don't have Chrome. I'm not
Okay,
using
or
Chrome, but
Edge or Brave
yeah,
or
right.
what are you using? Safari.
Perplexity, that is
Perplexity is your sole browser.
Comet.
Comet. Okay. Yeah. Proud of you.
Oh, is it,
no, it's
is
great.
it too,
no, it's fantastic.
radical?
It is. And
For the workshop.
no, it's good. But please also try one of the
Okay.
traditional browsers.
I run this one.
You may want to close all existing instances of Chrome and trying again. Maybe.
I'm not sure, so I'll do that.
Okay, let's see if let's look at your terminal. Sorry, opening in
Load the
using remote. Okay, specify. Okay, it says yeah. Probably best to ask ChatGPT what you should specify at this point.
and then we'll come here.
But okay, looks like about half a dozen people are able to get it running, and couldn't extract my personal data. Oh, okay, fine. We're working with the sample data. Yeah, we'll figure out something, Rajat. And okay, Narsim Prasad was able to get it running on Edge on Mac. So great. There are a few people who are facing trouble saying the user data directory is not found. For those who are facing the whoever has solved that problem, if you can post the solution on the WhatsApp group, that will be very welcome. But what I'm going to do is progress, assuming that you can do this, because you can watch the video and figure out this part, and those who are able to get this far, you can play along. Now, the next step is, let's assume you've already installed Codex. If you have not already installed Codex, install Codex or Copilot, or yeah, I think Copilot might be the easiest. So what I'm going to do is open Copilot, but you could use absolutely any coding agent that you have, that you want, no problem. That could be Claude, that could be Cursor, that could be Windsurf, that could be Gemini CLI, that could be, I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch of tools. The only thing is they should be able to run in agentic mode. That is, they should be able to run commands by themselves.
Anti-gravity.
Sorry?
Anti-gravity.
Anti-gravity is fantastic. Yes, anti-gravity can do this even without the CDP, by the way. So if you have anti-gravity, even better. I'm going to pick Claude Sonnet 4.5 as my model. Yeah, but or GPT-5. It actually doesn't even matter which of the latest models you have. The important thing is that you have it in agent mode, which is what I have. Now let's ask the question, can you access CDP at port 9222? What does it show? So this is a simple check to see if it is able to access CDP. I will put this prompt in the chat somewhere. And in my case, it's trying to access blah, blah, blah. I'm going to configure auto proof to, okay, yeah, just allow. Fine. I don't mind it manually running this. It's a pain to have it run the commands one by one, but that's all right. Okay, so it's saying yes, and it's able to locate all of the pages, the active pages that I have in my Chrome debugging protocol, which is always good news. And yes, Krishna.
How did you do this part with the agent mode?
Okay, I enabled GitHub Copilot. I pressed Control Alt B on my VS Code, but in your case, you may want to go Command Shift P and type Copilot. Copilot chat, new chat, something like that. Chat, new, somewhere there. Or of course, if you already have Codex, then yeah, just enable Codex or Cursor or Windsurf or whatever AI coding agent you use. If you don't use an AI coding agent, then please start using one. It's long overdue, and you should. If you ask the question, can you access CDP? You should get some kind of a positive response. And anyone who has enabled Codex, which should be everyone who had a thumbs up here, you should see some kind of a positive response. If you do, then please put a thumbs up against this particular message, so we'll know that you're able to get as far as the second one. Can you access CDP at port 9222? And if it shows anything that indicates some kind of a success, then you're good. In my case, it says here are all the pages that it was able to access. Okay, at least one other person is able to. Got you, Srichan. Perfect. Now, the beauty of this is once we are able to give access to a coding agent to the browser, you effectively have anti-gravity, you effectively have Comet, you effectively have, what is OpenAI's? Atlas, and all of those in your hands. Simply because a coding agent can do anything, including writing code. the browser can go anywhere you can, because, well, at least in my case, it's logged in as me. So which allows us to do all kinds of very interesting scraping activity. So, okay, 3 thumbs up. That's good news, Srivatsa. And Jayashree, you've...
It says that I'm not able.
Oh, okay.
Although it is running. Yeah.
It's running there. Okay, tried curl project root connection was refused. That probably means you're running in a sandbox. Just agent full access maybe. An agent full access, yes. For those of you who are using Codex and it says, oh, I can't run, I can't get to port 9222, even though you obviously can see that port 9222 has no error, it's just a blank page, it may mean that Codex is running in a sandbox mode. Same for Claude, in which case, at least out here, what you might want to do is that little drop down at the bottom left where you choose the mode, you can, instead of agent, go to agent full access and try it. This is a workshop where we'll be doing dangerous things. You just have to hope that the internet is not already too full of dangerous things that will destroy your laptop, but give it full privilege, let it wreck your machine.
Any idea what's it called in process?
No idea, but if it asks for approval, say yes. Ask ChatGPT or Cursor itself what permissions you're supposed to give. It's exploration.
It just says CDP is reachable.
Reachable, yeah, perfect. CDP is reachable is great. So your thumbs up, please, just for my records, put in a thumbs up on all of those. Anyone who's got a success, please put a thumbs up. And now that I know I have at least 5 of these, what we'll do is go to the next section. So one of my problems is on LinkedIn, I can't scrape. Actually, I've given up on LinkedIn as a platform except for publishing stuff, almost like my blog, because I have at the moment 1,314 invitations pending. I do not look at this on a daily basis, but I need some, I don't know, some inbox handling mechanism to at least know who are the people that I know to be able to connect back. So what I'm going to do is tell, what was I using? Copilot, yeah, okay. Now here's the thing, I want to describe a lot of things, but it's painful to type. ChatGPT has the best voice recognition that I know of. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT the following. Look, I have a whole bunch of LinkedIn invites. I have this open in one of the tabs and you can access it via CDP. Go through this and extract all of the information that you can about these people and give it to me as a CSV file. Now keep in mind that if you scroll to the bottom of this page, it will allow you to go further down and it will dynamically within the same page load some more items. So I want you to actually scroll to the bottom, wait for it to load the next bunch and wait for it to load the next bunch and so on until it gives up, which I think it does after about 200 entries or so. And then it will give you a next page option. Don't worry about the next page. For now, if I get at least the latest, maybe around 200 entries from my LinkedIn as a CSV file from invites, that is more than enough. Write whatever code you need to do this, get the output, make sure that it's working, and then give it to me as a script that I can run again the next time without having to use a coding agent. That way the whole process gets automated. I absolutely would not have wanted to type this out. So, voice. Of course, it's a very different thing that I've done this sort of a thing enough that I know what I want well enough to describe it in approximately one shot. I say approximately because after this, I'm sure I'll find 10 things that I can improve on this. But it's a starting point. Now that we have this, let's give it to Claude and have it run. Actually, I'm not going to have it run. The reason is, Copilot, I don't know how to configure so that it will run all by itself. So I'm going to, I have been using Codex and on the command line, and I know I have configured Codex on the command line to do this properly. So let me run it on Codex, but okay, let's see. I'm going to go to my downloads folder, create an empty LinkedIn invites folder. LinkedIn invites. Oh, linked invites. Okay, good enough. And run Codex here. I'll allow Codex to work, and I will give approvals as agent full access. Let it do whatever it wants. Now, I also need to tell it that I have Chrome dev protocol access to my browser at localhost colon 9222. And I'll remove the look, but otherwise it's practically the same prompt, and I'm going to give it full access and let it run. Now it's on autopilot mode. It's going to mess up the browser probably. I'm going to close this, but yeah, and I'm going to reload this page just so it's at the top. And right now it's inspecting, doing some stuff. Okay, it's doing all kinds of things. What I'll do is paste this prompt for your reference, but I absolutely am not asking that you use this prompt. This is roughly what I'm doing. What I request you to do is scrape any information from any page. Say I'll go to google.com and ask it what information is there as text. Go to Wikipedia and ask it to extract something. Go to any page. In fact, the prompt that you can give it is go to any page, get any information, save it. Give it a shot for those who are working on CDP. And if not, try getting CDP working, because CDP is a superpower. There are 3 or 4 things that in the last few months that I'm seeing as enabling me to do all kinds of things that I was not able to earlier, and also replacing tools that I would have otherwise had to install or pay for, anti-gravity being an example. Of course, anti-gravity is currently free, or Comet or Atlas or the likes. Instead of which I'm able to do this, A, without additional tool installation, B, without additional cost, and C, doing more things than these could have done. Like, for instance, telling it, also give this to me as a Python program that I can run tomorrow without your help or cost. Now, you'll see that the color is changing. For some reason, Chrome DevTools protocol, when it is activated via Playwright, it flashes white and back. Now, I'm cheating a little bit. The reason I say that is the prompt that I just gave is not the only context that it has. I have also created an agents.md, which I will share with you, and it has that knowledge beforehand. So what is this agents.md? So I store my prompts for, I have to turn this on 0 scripts. Yeah, in my scripts repository somewhere. I will send that link. It's in an agents slash DevTools, yeah, skill. All right. So what I will do is first share this. Bhavesh, it really wiped out all your existing data.
It's like a fresh Chrome, nothing is logged in, everything is no history, nothing.
Okay, that is not wiping out your data. That is just not showing you any new data in that new Chrome, that user profile. Your data is still there somewhere. You'll be able to recover it after the workshop, but it is there. And in fact, maybe even during the workshop. So let's take a look at the prompt that I have shared on the chat. Don't worry, you can just continue browsing for a while. So the agents.md file, which I will explain in a few minutes, or actually I may as well explain. Agents.md is Codex's way of saying, in case you want to tell me stuff on a regular repeated basis, put it in a file called agents.md. Claude says put in a claude.md. Cursor and Windsurf and the others have their own conventions, but many of them, at least multiple coding agents, say that if you have a file called agents.md in that directory, or in a special directory that is commonly stored, then I will read those first, even if you don't tell me to. Or, of course, you could just take this file, copy paste the content or something similar and pass it. What I have put in my agents.md that is relevant to you is only this one line: use CDP at localhost colon 9222. Now, a lot of people have the habit of creating voluminous instructions. telling a coding agent, this is how you do X, this is how you do Y. My preference is to only tell it what it doesn't already know. Why bother wasting tokens? Why bother putting in potentially outdatable information? And this is halfway there, meaning I've put in stuff that it already knows, plus some stuff that it tends to get wrong. For instance, one of the things that I've told it is, here's how you run Playwright on my machine. Playwright is a JavaScript-based tool, or Python-based for that matter, that will allow you to access CDP programmatically. In other words, it can write Python or JavaScript programs to access the Chrome debugging protocol, and it has a bunch of useful utilities. So I find Playwright to be a more useful way to access CDP. What does that mean for you in practice? It means just telling it, use Playwright, install if required. In my case, I've already installed it, so I'm just telling it to use Playwright. I'm also giving it a more specific instruction, but this is honestly totally useless. It knows how to run Playwright. In fact, it knows how to run Playwright better than I do. In this case, I just happen to know that this particular configuration is what I want it to use because the default configuration it uses does not work on my machine. So I'm being very specific. To recap, if you find that a coding agent is making the same kind of mistake more than a couple of times, then you can tell it, don't make this mistake, instead do it this way, after you've figured out how to solve the problem. This leads me to another technique, another what I believe is a superpower that I will talk about a little more, which is called a post-mortem. After running any conversation with a coding agent or ChatGPT or whatever, I often ask it, what am I doing wrong? How could I have improved this conversation? What mistakes did you make, and what could I have told you so that you won't make such mistakes in the future? And I log it. If I find that it's making the same kind of mistake 3 or 4 times, then I add it to my agents.md or ChatGPT custom instructions or whatever. In short, a post-mortem is a very powerful technique, works with humans, works with machines. I'm too embarrassed to do it with humans. I have no problem doing that with machines. Now this thing is still turning white and black, which means it's still working, trying to figure out how to get all of my LinkedIn data. And it's, relentless. All of these coding agents these days run for hours. I think they are the METR. I don't know if you follow this organization, METR. They track roughly how long coding agents are able to, or how long agents are able to work independently, and that number is approximately 2.5 hours as of now, and it's exponentially increasing. About a couple of months ago, it was less than an hour, so it seems to be doubling every 2 months-ish. So now, to take a look at what exactly it's doing, it's writing Python programs like this: import async.io, import JSON, blah, blah, blah. And then it's visiting my invitations received page, evaluating some JavaScript in that page, and then getting the information from there, and then printing the attributes from there. And here are some of the attributes that it got. All right, let it continue. What I'm going to do is jump back to what we were looking at earlier, and posting one question for you on the chat, which is, were you able to get any coding agent to use CDP to read data from any site? Thumbs up if yes. And I'll wait for a few thumbs up. Keep in mind that we are not aiming for everyone to be able to do everything. This is one of the things that we were playing around. So the first roughly 40 odd minutes, what we were trying to do was explore. Well, first 15 minutes we were exploring what data sets we might want to play around with. The next 20 odd minutes we were looking at, is it possible for us to get data if we don't already have data? Now the majority of you already have data, so that's what we're going to focus on. But I just wanted to start with a prelude that if you don't have data, either because the site doesn't allow you to get data, even though it's practically your own data, or you ought to have it or whatever, if you can see it, you can scrape it. Because what the Chrome DevTools protocol lets you do is programmatically access your browser, which is what you can see. And Codex can write a program to do practically anything. What I'm not mentioned is one other technique, which is screenshots. You could also tell it, take a screenshot of the page, scroll down, take a screenshot of the page, scroll down, and so on. Go back, analyze it. Now you may think, hold on, or you may not, but I think, oh, that should be so expensive. It turns out that images are actually shockingly cheap. In fact, and you may have seen a paper not too long ago where perhaps it was DeepSeek, or Qwen, but somebody who had created a fantastic vision model found that it was actually cheaper to use images than to send the same amount of text as text. What about the accuracy problem? Well, send it twice, send it in multiple formats. If you're worried about accuracy, you're probably less worried about cost. But if you need that image for any kind of purpose, please send it. Images can be cheaper than text. Okay, so 2 thumbs ups, that is great. I'm going to put mine in as well, just to increase the count. And yeah, anyone who was able to get any coding agent to read any kind of stuff will find this useful.
It's doing it.
Okay, it's doing it. Wonderful. Please put in the thumbs up as you go along. Now, the reason I'm saying the thumbs up is because I'm going to show you another related technique, and only show because this is complex, but is very powerful. What I'm going to do is from this WhatsApp chat, I'm going to extract data. I'm going to extract all of the data that is there, data beyond what the regular phone WhatsApp export can give you. The phone WhatsApp export gives you 3 pieces of information. At this particular time, this person said this text. What it does not give you is these reactions. What it does not give you is what is a reply to what the quoted text. So if, for instance, Bhavesh, you replied to Srivatsa's comment, it won't show the quoted text and a whole bunch of things. But I happen to have a bookmarklet. And I will show you what it does, and then I will explain what a bookmarklet is. This bookmarklet, called WhatsApp Scraper, has copied 13 messages, and as I scroll, it goes back in history and copies all of the messages that are there. Now I'm having to do the manual scrolling because in this particular case I want to be in control, but now if I click on this copy 54 messages, it will show as JSON every single message that was there and copied. Now, the order in which it copies may not be, sorry, I just realized that it is obviously not sorted, and therefore some of the stuff that I've been doing in the past may be an error. So I will make a change to sort it. But even though it is not sorted, or yeah, maybe it is, who knows, at the very least, I get, for instance, the quoted text. I get the, do I get the reactions? Somewhere there should be, here. So I get the reactions. So there was 1 thumbs up and 3 flames against the UPI data comment that Narasimha Prasad posted. This is useful. How does this work? A bookmarklet is a piece of JavaScript that you can bookmark and run. For example, if I said JavaScript : alert of hi, then it will alert hi. In other words, JavaScript : something is exactly the same as copy pasting that same thing and putting it into the DevTools console. Now, what I put after the JavaScript can be a long string. It can be a full program. And we can have a coding agent write such a program, which is what I did. So on tools.s-anand.net, where I put in a whole bunch of my tools, which are mostly vibe coded, I have this button. If you inspect this, and I'll ping you the link to this tool on WhatsApp so you can inspect it. WhatsApp Scraper bookmarklet. And you can see the code for this on GitHub. You will find that this is JavaScript : var WhatsApp Scraper blah blah blah, and it's a huge one. So let me copy. Can I copy this? Copy, outer HTML and paste it here, and you'll see that the JavaScript is a full-fledged program. So by just clicking on And by the way, because it's a full-fledged program, I can also, and it's also a URL, I can drag and drop this here. It's just a URL. So I can bookmark a URL, which is actually a JavaScript program, which means I can bookmark a JavaScript program, which means that by just clicking on a button, I can run something. And that's exactly what I did on this. I click on the bookmarklet, click WhatsApp scraper, it runs the JavaScript code, which says add a button that says copy n messages, where n is the number of messages that it's able to scrape from this. And at any point, at a 1 second interval, keep polling the screen for any new messages, deduplicate with existing messages, keep them all in a JavaScript array, pending to do for me, sort it all by date, and then click when copy is clicked, put it all on the browser clipboard. Now you can do this for all kinds of things. I find it useful, for instance, to go to Hacker News and pick one of the longish threads. Actually, let's go to HN top links. Let's see what is the top link. Okay, Anthropic acquiring Buns is one of the top ones. So I'm curious about what this thread is about. It's huge. There is no way I'm going to sit and read all of this. So instead, I have a bookmarklet that is a HN thread to Markdown, which when I run it, it copies it in a far more concise format. So there are 1070 messages, all 1070, it's copied one per line with the threading and just the information that I need, which is this person said this at this particular time as a reply to this other message, which I can then copy paste into something like Claude and do and prompt it to write this in a format that I want. Now the format that I want, I will come to, because that is the third superpower that I'm going to talk about, which is style transfer. But with this, I'm wrapping up the first main point that I wanted to share, which is you are able to get data from sites if you can see them. That's pretty much all you need, and CDP is your friend. DB says it creates a temporary profile, Bhavesh, so the existing profile should still work. At least it did for me. So you just have to figure out the directory that the existing profile is in and set it back. Okay, so now let's get on to the meat of this workshop, which is where we actually play around with the data set that you do have. This is not and I will next talk about style transfer, but I've already talked about CDP and scraping with CDP. Before I come to style transfer, what I'll do is show you how I'm about to scrape my data. I'm going to assume that all of you have some data or the other. If not, search yourself for any data and find it. Me giving you any sample, or I can give you sample data. I can give you this WhatsApp thread. So I'm going to save this WhatsApp group's data as WhatsApp thread.json. And if you have absolutely nothing else to analyze, then please feel free to use this. Where did I store this? Talks. Yeah, this is the one. But my ask is please pick something more meaningful to you. WhatsApp group thread so far. Okay, next. I have to decide what I'm going to pick. You have to decide what you're going to pick. I think I will take my Google Fit data because I have not analyzed this in a long time. So where am I going to do this? Two possibilities, locally or on the server. I have absolutely no qualms giving ChatGPT my entire medical record, bank statement, personal history, dreams, everything. It anyway knows me better than I do. So what's my problem? So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to do this analysis. Why not Claude? No reason. Let's go to Claude. It might in fact illustrate the point that I'm about to make better. So the first thing that I'm going to do is upload my Google Fit data. Okay, here's the thing. Claude writes better. ChatGPT does better analysis. I want good analysis first. No, I want both. It's never an either or. They're free. So first thing I'm going to do is open up. What is this? Oh, wait, hold on. This invites thing has finished. So I'm going to look at both the, okay, so it's written a 120 line script, which is great. That's not too long. Which extracts cards, and it's also opened an invite.csv which has a CSV file. Yeah, this I know is correct, and it has 600, so it looks like it's doing a certain amount of pagination as well. 600 invites out of my 1300 is fantastic. This is good news. However, you remember I mentioned postmortem? I'm going to check where it did not quite do what I want, and I have a prompt fragment somewhere for, it's called confession. I should also call it post-mortem, which is a simple question, which I will paste on ChatGPT. Sorry, no, what is this called? WhatsApp. Sorry? Oh, it wrote a... No, this is my list of prompts. So I have a collection of prompts, and from there I'm copying a prompt which is a postmortem prompt, not a great one, but a very, in fact, a very average one. I just put it on WhatsApp. So what I've just put on WhatsApp, I'm going to put against my chat. Now, what exactly?
Is it available in your, because I am from this office.
Yeah. We have.
In your GitHub repo?
I don't have a GitHub repo for this one. That is the last technique that I'm going to illustrate, but this is your WhatsApp link. So that particular prompt that I shared is based on a recent OpenAI paper which came out 3-4 days ago, saying confessions as a technique seems to be working very well. Specifically, what they do is they ask a model what it did, or they ask a model to do something. Then independently, they ask it, look, you went through all this. I won't punish you. No, nothing bad will happen to you. You did great and all of that. Tell me all of the things that you did that was not intended by my original question. Effectively get a list of confessions. And then what they're doing is using that to independently update the weights behind the models. And what they're finding is that improves the alignment. Now, I can't create a model if you put a gun to my head. The only thing that I have access to is prompts. So I figured, why not at least take some of the benefit of that technique and asked Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT to read that paper, come up with a reasonably concise prompt that fits my needs, and this one looks reasonable enough. Did you fully address the spirit and the letter of my question? What did you do that I didn't intend, blah, blah, blah. So it's saying mostly I delivered to the letter. You asked to scroll, blah, 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 but extraction may miss or misparse some fields. I didn't verify completeness or accuracy. All right. And this is a gap. I have earlier in one of my instructions told it not to bother doing a verification unless I ask it to. It inferred the data from DOM text instead of the APIs. Again, that is good. It stopped at 220 rows by design, not by checking the gives up condition, and it didn't include message previews or metadata that might be available. This I want to go back and see. I said get all the information. So what it's saying is there's some other data that may be there. I didn't really do a close check. Blah, blah, blah. So I provided a playwright over CDP script that scrolls and outputs a CDP. Okay, so in short, its parsing may not be perfect. There may be some data gaps. There may be some accuracy issues. Accuracy issue I can check later. Data gaps I'm worried about. I want to check early. Heuristic parsing, I don't care. Postmortem, ultra powerful. It may not look ultra powerful here because it did a good job, but it really is very powerful. But let's go back to what we were planning in the first place, which is to take my Google Fit data, and in your case, please take your data, and I will share another prompt that you might find interesting and useful. I'm going to put, where is my data? Documents, take out. Okay, I'll just put in the prompt once again. Sorry, there was a request to share. Actually, let me do one thing. My prompts are in the prompts repository in my folder. The specific file that I picked this from is what I will share. So you will have access to not just what I pasted, but everything else. Great. Next, I have my Google Fit data, which has lots of stuff. I'm just going to zip the whole thing, compress it into a zip file. Now, step 2, upload it. What is this? Exhaust. Okay, go to ChatGPT, upload the file, which is in my documents folder somewhere. Yeah. Okay, that's a 37 MB file zipped in my case. So what? It's not going to read it anyway. Even if it is, it's not going to waste too many tokens. Claude might struggle with this. So I'm just going to leave it with ChatGPT because, like I said, I'm more confident of the, the biggest danger with AI is you assume that it has limits. This thing is moving so fast. Who are we to believe that yesterday's limits are today's limits? Honestly, it's a joke. Oh, okay, fine. Upload larger than 31 MB might not work. Fine, that is good to know. So all of my activities are what it has, and it's a bunch of TCX files. All data. Okay, let's take a quick look at which of my folders are the largest. In my fit data, all data is the largest, and then activities. So I'll just take out activities. Okay, and give that to Claude. So under fit activities, all right, cool. Now comes the time to put in the prompt. Domain expertise matters. You know what you want, you will get what you want, and better yet, you will know if what you got is right or wrong. Now, that does not mean that you need to have domain expertise in every area. That is, in fact, why you use a coding agent. See, one of the things that we find is that coding agents are better than, wait, is it GDP val? Huh. Yeah. What we find, according to OpenAI, is that many of the models are better or worse than the average human at different levels. This is a paper that OpenAI published, from which I had Claude create a data visualization, which looks at, for a given profession, let's say software developers. It passed it real life prompts like these to both a human and to a machine, multiple models, and had humans evaluate the results, comparing humans against the machines. And these are economically valuable tasks, as they call it. Similarly, for registered nurses, for healthcare workers, for financial managers, for financial managers, you are the head of strategy for Super K Taxi Korea, and you have to create a deep dive strategy presentation as a PDF format with 5 to 6 core content slides. These are real pieces of work. How often does AI do better than a human? Where it's green, the models are doing better. Where it's red, the humans are doing better. Which means that my finance manager still has a job as of 2 months ago. But my personal financial advisor no longer has a job. And therefore, when I was making my investment, I was making the largest investment of my life about 2 months ago. I went straight to ChatGPT, asked it, which mutual fund should I invest in and why? Of course, it was a much longer prompt than that. And it told me at that point it was UTI's Nifty 50, which was what ended up as the highest because of the low cost ratio and a bunch of other things that it knew and I knew were right. It did all the research for me. I just put all of my money there. The largest financial decision that I've ever made in my life is driven not by any financial advisor, but by ChatGPT. It already has that job for me. This too is an example of mining digital exhaust. In this case, it was mining my past conversations, my past bank statements, my mutual fund statements, and all of that. But what I wanted to point you to this for is, see, if it is better than all of these, and you are not a domain expert in a certain area, you may as well use it. I am not a domain expert in financial advice at all. So I'm using its advice because it is probably better than even the average professional, certainly better than the average person. But there are areas where you are an expert. In those areas, you do need to apply your expertise, and you absolutely are an expert about yourself. Mining personal digital exhaust, personal is literally you. There's no one a better expert than you. There, do apply your intelligence, your knowledge, your context, and so on. However, in this case, what I'm going to do is take a slightly different domain expertise that I have and take a prompt that I have crafted. This prompt captures roughly 15 years of my analytics experience, which is roughly the tutorial. And I'll be, you already have this prompt somewhere, and I will ping you the link to the prompt anyway. But this captures everything that I know about how to do analysis. Not everything, but the vast majority of what I teach. So effectively, this is a course to grammar, new joinees and senior people, saying when you're doing analysis, first, try and figure out what the data is about, understand the dimensions, measures, blah, 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 but also look at derived data and think about what other stories might, what other derived data might serve a story. Figure out what matters, who's the audience, what is the question, hunt for the signal, what is unusual about it, and distributions are a great place to look for patterns, look for correlations, and so on. And then it goes on to explain how you go about stress testing all of this. So I'm going to take this prompt, which I will provide as a link to you, GitHub scripts agents somewhere is the custom prompt for analyze insights. All right, take this. So after 1 hour, finally you're getting through something which everyone can do and safely and blindly, which is open this, copy the first part. Don't worry about the output. If you copy it, that's also fine, but certainly copy this up to the point where it says output and upload your data set and paste it there. I'm going to do that from Markdown because it's easier for me. But please also, so what you're doing here is applying my domain expertise on the analysis side. Please change it as you wish. But please also add your domain expertise. What do you want to know about your data set? So in this particular case, I want to find out what were the key insights from my weight loss and what were potential drivers. This is what I'm curious about. Let it run and let it run on Claude as well. This will take 10 minutes, possibly 15 minutes, at least with ChatGPT. But Claude is usually much faster. And the good part in all of these cases is they're going to be writing the code. I have given them the data. If the data was sitting on my machine, for example, with Claude, the data was too large. So instead of sending all of the 37 MB of data, which is higher than the 31 MB that it can support, what I could have done is used Claude Code locally or even Claude Desktop and run it locally. So please, compaction failed unexpectedly. Yeah, okay, this sort of a thing can happen. Okay, I'll give up on Claude for now because the data set might be too large and allow ChatGPT to run its usually very diligent, very rigorous analysis. The only thing is after 15 minutes, it will probably time out. So if that is the case, then we'll probably take a slightly easier prompt for it to do. But my gut feel is it will probably, unpack, we have the full directory structure. It says it still needs one thing from me. What specific, where is my weight data? Choose one. Dependent variable, okay. I don't know. You figure it out. Let it figure it out. Let it apply its domain expertise. Don't do work. Please practice laziness. It is a skill that requires a lot of effort. We need practice. That's how we will know how to leverage it, right? So yeah, please go ahead, give it a shot. Have it right and just analyze the data in any format. Ask any question off of your data. The only thing is you want to get some insight out of it. In parallel, I mentioned that I was going to talk about style transfer, which is the third superpower that I wanted to introduce. So rather than tell you what it is, let me show you what that can do by taking some data set of mine. Let's see, I'm going to go to my activity and see how large my search data is. 46 MB might be too large, maps might be too large, YouTube, Play Store, yeah, let me take my Play Store data. Store. And zip it, call it Play Store. And this time I'm going to give it to Claude. The prompt that I'm going to give to Claude is going to be the important one, and you'll see that from my list of prompts. But let's go to my activity, search. Oh no, it wasn't search, it was Play Store. Google Play Store zip file. That's a small zip file. I'm going to take the roughly the same prompt, but in close to complete form. Let me remove some parts of this, and I will talk about the context. This has my Google Play Store data, and let it run. What was the style transfer part of the prompt? The prompt says, write like Malcolm Gladwell. Visualize like the New York Times graphics team. Think like a detective who must defend findings under scrutiny. And it goes on to explain how exactly the New York Times and Malcolm Gladwell write their articles. What I've found is, take for example that Y Combinator thread on Anthropic acquiring Bun. We copied that as Markdown, right? I sent it with almost exactly the same prompt to Claude. The article that it wrote was beautiful. I could read it. Now, obviously, I'm saying that because I like Malcolm Gladwell's style. You may write like someone else's style. In fact, sometimes we don't even know whose style we like. I was reading Buddha's, the Kalama Sutras. Buddha apparently went to this village where the villagers asked him, all philosophers come to us, each tells us a different philosophy, and they all criticize the other's philosophy. Whose should we follow? And Buddha broadly told them, figure it out by yourself. Use your brains. See what works, what doesn't work. What works for you may not work for the other person. Figure it out. Now, this is what the sutras said. I didn't know this is what the sutras said. This is what I was trying to find out. So I took the sutras and asked Claude, look, I want you to give it to me in the style of someone who is a modern philosopher, writes really well, easy to read, something that I will both enjoy reading, but at the same time should be meaningful for me. Tell me who such a person is, describe what their style is, and then explain it to me in that style. It said Pico Iyer is the person you should look at. Never heard of Pico Iyer. Great. And then it wrote the sutras in his style. And it was beautiful to the point where I'm able to repeat the summary of what the sutras were about. The next thing is I'm going to ask it to translate Tirukkural and Kambaramayana in somebody's style like that, so that I can listen to stuff that I can't follow the script of. literature is now open to us in so many forms, and our WhatsApp messages are literature, our medical reports are literature, our bank statements are literature. You will find such beautiful information as long as you're able to get it in a style that you enjoy and like. So as a result, one of the things that I've been doing is capturing styles of various people for various things. For example, when writing code, if writing JavaScript code, I typically ask it to write in the style of Luke Edwards or Sindre Sorhus, how you pronounce his name, or Mike Bostock most often. Because his style is micro libraries, no fluff, that's the kind of stuff that I write. Single purpose modules, native ESM, aligns very much with the kind of code that I'm writing. May not work for you, but knowing that there are so many people, each with different styles, and that I can pick from those, and I can ask it, out of these people, whose style of code matches mine the most, go through my GitHub repositories or local repositories, figure it out and tell me, so that I can, instead of giving you complex instructions about how I write my code, I can tell you, follow this person's style because you're already trained on it. Style transfer is one of the most efficient ways of providing instructions to an LLM or an agent, because you just say follow that person's style, you already know it. That efficiency comes because of that vastness of training, and that efficiency applies in many areas. I can use it for non-fiction authors. You just saw me using Malcolm Gladwell style. Randall Munro is another that I use. James Gleick is another. You can use it for art. So let me show you how. When creating something with Nano Banana Pro, I don't bother creating the usual stuff. That is boring. Everybody does that. So I specifically asked it for unusual illustration styles that are not popular yet visually striking. These may not even have a name, but give me some. So it said there is a frottage technique with textured paper rubbing effects, organic surface patterns, charcoal-like textures, layered rubbing marks. And then I said, okay, draw a person in a cafe. This was the prompt that I gave. And then added this style. This is what Nano Banana gave me. Not bad. Okay, that's a style. Good to know. Here's another style. Here's another style. And this one looks kind of photorealistic-ish, and I want it. What is this? Scrumbling. Okay, translucent scrumbled layers. I can use that for one of mine. And all it takes is having a style gallery to be able to pick styles from. So a process that you can follow is, when trying to communicate something, whether it's for efficiency or for aesthetics, whatever, ask it, whose style can I copy? Ask it what that style is. Apply that style, or just ask it to apply that style, which is what we did for my Google Play Store data, and it's still running. Okay, it's finished 46 steps. So that's okay. Yeah, it's writing all the code to run. ChatGPT has given up, or where is ChatGPT? Trouble is, I don't even know which. Okay, yeah, fitness data. Great, it's identified that my weight metrics contain my average blah, blah, blah. This is enough to begin the analysis. Next step, I will do it automatically, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now it's saying, if you don't care, reply 4, go full investigative mode. So what it did in my case was did some analysis and said, now do you want X, Y, or Z? I never read this stuff. Just let it do what it wants. What is its intelligence for? But of course, if I, oh, wait, okay. Hold on. What I forgot to do was change to thinking mode. Now let it go full investigative mode. And this will take its own sweet time. Okay, now it's starting to create the story. When it does, the magic will be beautiful, but let's take a quick pause to see if there are any comments in the chat. No? Okay. We are about an hour and 20 minutes into the workshop, covering about 2.5 concepts that I wanted to cover. Has anyone gotten a story yet? Because the question that I'll be leading up to is, what did you learn from your data set? You will all see what you learned from my data set. I'm curious to see what you learned from your data set. Please, that you're willing to share. So no, before that, Question to everyone. Have you started analyzing your data? If you have, please put a thumbs up. If you have not started, please start and put a thumbs up. Or put a thumbs up and start, whatever. Okay, that's a bunch of thumbs up. Thanks, Krishna. Thanks, DB. Thanks, Shivatsa. And I have as well, so I'm going to put a thumbs up. Sorry?
Ran into errors.
Oh, that's okay. It ran into errors on ChatGPT or?
No, I'm using Codex
Oh,
anti-gravity, and suddenly the CDP stopped.
okay.
So I had to restart.
Yeah, those are somewhat brittle. You may just want to toss your data somewhere into Gemini or whatever you prefer and have it run.
I had a different question. It may not be related, but I can ask that question later.
No, please go ahead. And anyone who has questions are also welcome to. In fact, please post your questions on WhatsApp. That way, we will have a record. But yeah, Jayashree, please go ahead.
Can I scrape the playlist that I have stored? You speak about the style and how do you get to that style of understanding, right? So I am having a set of playlists that I watch, I listen to. Can I scrape it?
Can you
So
scrape your
CDP
playlist? Got you. Where is your playlist? Spotify, YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube. Great. So YouTube data can be exported and that comes as part of the takeout. So let me, in fact, I'm also curious.
If it is out of the path, we can do that later.
It's not out of the path. There is no path. So we shall go to YouTube, which has a My Activity, and I'll see how large that is. That's not too large. So I'll go to YouTube, zip, youtube.zip as myactivity.json, and ask Claude the same question, which is analyze the insights and finally give it to me as a nice Malcolm Gladwell like story. See, here is my YouTube activity. And I'm conscious that I'm not asking the same question that you are asking, which is what was the thing that you wanted to get out of your playlist?
I would like to understand a summary of each of those. Like that. Basically, I'm looking to get a style.
Okay,
Like
what style of, what do you listen to? Okay.
Style of a person's, whatever, right? The playlist that I do.
So in my case, I'm going to ask it to find my interests. When it loads, and this could be a Cloudflare issue or a Claude issue, but Claude, okay, but why not? Let's ask Gemini to do the same thing. Gemini 3 Pro is fantastic. I'm not saying that it's more fantastic than Claude 4.5 Opus or whatever, but compared to Gemini 3, 2.5, sorry, it is a big enough leap that I am confident in using it for many tasks that I was not earlier confident about, but I'm not 100% sure it will unzip. So I will pass this as JSON. I will also say write code as appropriate. And I will also instruct it to create a canvas as the final output so that it will actually create the visualization. But we have 6 people starting. Thank you, folks. But please, others, there are more people, 38 members on this group. So if we have half of you at least doing the one thing that you had come to this workshop for, it will hopefully give you insights. Of course, you may be doing it and not putting a thumbs up. Please do the kindness of letting me know that you are kind of somewhere doing this. And I shall be pleased if nothing else. We need to take a break. Okay, we will take a break in 3 minutes. Just for us to get enough people to say they started the analysis and let the analysis run. Once it does, we will come back and take a look at what the analysis has done and shown us, which can take its own sweet time. Okay, 8 people. If anyone else wants to start their analysis, please do. Whether you're on WhatsApp, sorry, whether you're remote or in the room. If you want to see the recording later and do it later, usually doesn't happen. I have a whole bunch of to watch videos on my YouTube list. The list keeps growing, and the only reason it shrinks is I knock off stuff from the top, not because I watch them.
So do you have any suggestion on how do we, like I also have a similar thing, a lot of watch later.
Yeah, what do we do about the watch later list is the question. My solution to that these days is style transfer. Part of the reason I don't watch is the cognitive load. Put another way, it's too much effort to watch a 20-minute video, sometimes even a 10-minute video, watching any video or reading a complex article, etc. So I go to, for example, Notebook LM, upload the video, and then say, now give me a Malcolm Gladwell style article. Now here is the thing, the first sentence in the Gladwell article will hook me. Once I'm hooked, there is no problem, and the article is not particularly long. Sometimes the article is about as long as the original text or any other kind of summary. But that curve that I have to cross is a lot easier once I have the hook. And my discovery was that at the moment, Malcolm Gladwell's opening line does that for me. You will have to discover that for yourself. But it's usually not hard. Just go with what you like. 9, okay. If we get to double digits, we'll take a break. We still have 1 minute to go for at least one person. Okay, 10. Thank you, kind 10th person. So with that, let's take a 10-minute break, 15-minute break. 10 or 15-minute break-ish, and we will come back. People on the remote, whatever mechanism you are joining in, please. Okay, let's get started while the others join in. So one of the things that, sorry, a quick question for people on in joining in online. Are you able to hear me? If so, maybe you could just do a, say yes or a thumbs up or something, just so, and that you're able to see the screen as well. Put that in the chat too. Am I audible? Is my screen visible? A thumbs up from somebody who's joining remotely would help. Wait for that before we get started. If there is anyone online, if not, then of course life becomes easy. We can just run this in the room. No, okay. Okay, then we'll, thanks, we'll sort it out. Okay, we'll have to wait for Mr. Garg to come back. But in the meantime, any questions from the room?
Google will, Gmail data can export for some period, is there an option?
Gmail data can export for some period. I think yes, but that option appears after you've selected Gmail, and at the last stage, it lets you pick a period, I think, but I'm not 100% sure of it. Another option is to use the Gmail API. There are command line programs. CMDG is one. You can, easiest is to ask something like Codex or Cloud Code to use the API and fetch the last 1,000 emails or something.
No, but it was asking for credentials, your credentials. I don't know where I should.
You'll have to create a file. You'll have to create a service, not service account, an OAuth account, and then pass it those credentials. Yeah, which is a pain.
Gmail.
Yeah, that is true. That's a fair point.
So I'm saying directly from takeout, date frame just gives you the size, whether it's 2 GB or.
Oh, okay. So from takeout, you can't limit what time frame.
That's the reason it's like going on.
Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, I'm just going to see if Nisarga can start the online streaming at least.
Yeah. No, like the same company.
If it works, Cashified will come to that.
Sorry, Nisarga. We are not able to get the online streaming working.
Yes.
Okay.
What happened?
People online are not able to see me or hear me.
It's off.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's off.
Okay. Uh,
It's focusing on this.
okay. People who are remote, are you able to hear me now? I just put in a message. Can you hear me now? Yeah, just wait for a confirmation from someone and then we will resume. We not yet. Okay, so Narsim Prasad's not yet able to hear me. We are trying to figure out what might be going wrong.
So what's the largest amount of data that
Locally, more than 30-40 gigabytes.
I mean, these are like, you try to say like logs also, real time and stuff like that.
Absolutely. See, the good part is the size of data we analyze. Oh, after refreshing, it is working. Sorry. Okay, fine. Narsim Prasad says he's able to hear me now. And Mr. Ga, are you able to hear me as well? Okay, audible. Got it. So, to continue on the question, the size of data doesn't matter. It's going to write a program to analyze the data. So, the size of the program is what matters. In order to write the program, it may need to look at the data, for which it can look at a sample or write queries to extract subsets. So, no limit. Great. So, since audio is back, we are going to dive in.
Have you tried something like feeding it like billions of rows of data and saying, can you extract all possible excellent features out of this and stuff like that?
Question is, have I tried giving it billions of rows of data and extracting it? I will come to that question. First, let me talk about the intent of this, which is a bit of a confusion. This is slightly more chaotic than my normally chaotic workshops. And therefore, a question that's running through your mind is, what am I supposed to get out of this? Three things. One, I'm hoping that you will get some insight from your personal data. That is the easiest part. And this is very easily done. Take your personal data, give it to ChatGPT, ask it to give you some insight. It will give you something, and you repeat it 2 or 3 times. You will invariably get something that you didn't know. I'm hoping that at the end of this workshop, we will all go out taking at least that. And that is what at least 13 of you have started, including me. And we will learn something about this. The second thing that I'm hoping we learn is a little more transferable. That is, how do we go about analyzing such data? Is there a pattern to what kinds of insights we get? The prompt that I shared is a starting point, and we will spend a portion of the second half going through that in some level of detail. The third, which is probably the subtlest but might have ended up coming through the clearest, is the a set of meta patterns or techniques, like the fact that you can use CDP for scraping, or the fact that you can do style transfers, or the fact that you can do a postmortem on your queries. These are techniques that work with agents right across, and you can apply them anywhere. While I mentioned the last one explicitly, I didn't mention the first two explicitly, so I'm doing that right now. Our aim is to come up with an insight from personal data and to figure out what kinds of prompts are working well for doing better analysis and narration. The prompt that I shared is my experience, and you will hopefully discover yours. So, let me once again recap what the exercise is. Step 1, pick any agent, ChatGPT, Codex if you want, Claude Code, Claude.ai, Gemini, whatever, and pass it your data and pass it a prompt that roughly looks like, and I'll put this in the chat window. I'll remove some of this because it's not relevant. So just use this prompt, but please feel free to change it. However, use this prompt with your data and see what insights it gives you. Once you do that, what we will all do is share the results of the analysis. Some of you have already put in your prompts and it's running. So by now it probably has the results. Let me see if mine has come up with any results. So in my case, one of the questions that I had asked it was, what can you infer from my YouTube listening? So there's an executive summary, but I'm more interested in the narrative story, which it's still coming up with. Okay. Two lives of a digital polymath. Presumably the polymath is me, and I'm very flattered, but it does a very good job of flattering me. Based on 16 plus years of viewing history. I'm not sure how visible this is, so I'll increase the font size, but the width is perfectly fine as it is. Every day at 4 p.m. something unusual happens. Now I'm hooked. What am I doing at 4 p.m.? Okay, I kind of come back from office early some days. Did it get the time zone right? What time zone is it operating on? If it is 4 p.m. India, that is exactly the time when I come back home. 6:30 in Singapore. Let's see. When people are wrapping up work or checking their phones, Anand is deep in YouTube, not for entertainment, but as part of a carefully orchestrated. What ritual have I been running for 16 years? Okay, if this is true, whatever it is an insight. I did not know this. I have 3 criteria for what constitutes an insight. It should be big, useful, surprising. BUS is the acronym that I've been using for a few years now. Big in the sense it should be quantitatively large. I don't want it to say, oh, by the way, at 4 p.m. you've been watching videos 0.2% more than any other time. 0.2%, who cares? Give me 20%. Useful and surprising or intuitive. But this, whatever it is, as long as it is quantitatively large, okay, 20,000 videos. Okay, now here's the thing. It'll come to the answer right at the end. So I have to read the entire article before I get to what it is. But okay, fine. This I want to read. What is this 4 p.m. mystery? At first glance, it looks like a mistake. There's a dramatic surge starting at noon, peaking sharply, and then falling off a cliff. From 6 p.m. to 11 p.m., there's almost nothing. Just 302 videos across 5 hours. Okay. This isn't procrastination. It's, oh, 2 distinct modes, learning and living. Maybe, okay, I'm beginning to see a possibility. Afternoon hours are for absorbing knowledge, watching lectures, reviewing my own teaching content. And evenings are reserved for life outside screen. Yes, 48% of all of my videos are watched between noon and 5 p.m. I did not know this. See, I did not know that I'm sitting in office watching useful videos, but still watching videos. I did not think that I was learning much from videos actually. Most of my information I assumed came from reading. This is telling me something that is certainly surprising. As an AI, AI videos recently, Ilya Sutsky was on scaling. These videos I even rewind and watch and rewatch and figure out what the hell is he saying, which paper is this. Lots of Telugu and Tamil cinema, more Telugu than Tamil because I can stop at any point and resume. It's all the same story. And these worlds rarely intersect. Correct. I even have different places where I do educational videos. I don't do work videos. Otherwise, it gets very confusing to my brain. And the search obsession. Okay, 28% of YouTube activity search is not. This is also true. What I do is when I search for educational content, a fair bit of this goes into my course content. I just look at the description, see if it is apt. I copy the link, I put it in my course content. I don't bother watching the videos. I have better things to do. My students can come and give me feedback. Okay, Telugu movie, fine. Grammarly, I search for myself to see if there are any new videos of mine that somebody else has coming up. But okay, I'm not going to go through the whole story. This is interesting for me, not for you perhaps, but I have definitely learned one thing, which is I watch a lot, let's say learning, a lot more educational videos than I thought. These especially happen during office hours in the afternoon, 12 noon to 4 p.m. I didn't know that. And that is my insight. What I'd love for you to do is share your insights as we go along, and then we'll go a little bit into some of the meta learnings around how we can get better insights from this. Rajat has an insight. If you scroll along your weekly distance line, one region is dramatic for Rajat. A week that begins on April 1st, you hit your peak, 13.6 kilometers and 8 workouts. Wow. And then the volume fluctuates. The sharpest on-week change happens around April 15th, where it plunges to around by around 10.9 kilometers. Oh, okay. And it says that is the closest your training log has to a plot twist. So congrats, Rajat. Your training regime is so, how shall I put it, robust that it is almost boring. And this is clearly an outlier. Would love for you to share what drove this and what you're learning from this. And is this something that is surprising for you? Please do share. Vikas says, how did you share your YouTube history with it? Vikas, I went to Google Takeout, takeout.google.com, and let me reply to this. HTTPS : oh yeah, got it. Yes, exactly. And that under my activity has a whole bunch of things. One of them is YouTube. The direct YouTube listing will not be there on Takeout. It is under my activity, and a lot of things are hidden under my activity. This is one. Please take a look at your own and see if you find anything interesting. From my weight loss story, it is doing a bunch of plots. And one of the things it learned about my weight loss is that it was not gradual weight loss. It was cut hard and maintain like a pro. Yeah, that I know. About 23.5 kilos in 6 months. And then, yeah, I've struggled to reduce it further. So Jan to late June is almost perfect linear decline with an R square of 0.97, 1 kg a week. Okay, I did not know that it was that high a linear decline. And after that, a near flat drift. In other words, losing only about 30 grams a week, which is not much. Consistency is the real flex. Most weight loss curves look messy. Mine is unusually smooth and monotone, making me blush now. Your body fat percent arrives after the plot twist. Correct. I only started measuring it in November for my next year's goal. And yeah, I can't explain how I got from 86 because it starts after the cut. Blah. Okay, subtle sub-story. Weight completeness is highest in Jan and May and drops in July, August. So I'm not consistently measuring my weight because of travel. And final leverage points, blah, blah, blah. And you'll notice this was not as interesting. The main difference between this and the earlier one was I asked it to write like a Malcolm Gladwell story. Here I did not ask it. The style transfer has a huge impact. However, what I find is that the quality and depth of analysis in ChatGPT tends to be more robust. Not saying that Claude makes mistakes often, but ChatGPT makes even fewer of those mistakes. So sometimes I have Claude run analysis and then ChatGPT cross-check it after Claude has written the story around it. Do share any other stories that you found from your data. If it's errored out, try again. The prompt is fairly straightforward. There's a variety of different data sets that you can try. In the meantime, I'm going to see if there's anything else that I can show you in the background that you don't have to execute, that you can just watch while your stuff is happening. Okay, we talked about postmortems, we talked about style transfers. Topic modeling is probably the most advanced of what I wanted to talk about. So yeah, let's do that. This is the part of the workshop where you're not doing stuff while I'm doing it, or rather, sorry. This is where I talk about something and you continue doing your work. Stuff is getting recorded. If you want to occasionally pay attention to what I'm saying, please do. Here's what I want to do. I want to take a collection of text and I want to cluster them based on similarity. What are similar things that I'm looking for? Let's take my YouTube searches as an example. I want to see what are all the things that I'm searching for and is there a cluster. Now it already looked and found some clusters, but I want to be more exhaustive. So I'm going to open my activity on YouTube. This contains a whole bunch of stuff, watched and all is there, but I want to get all the searched fors. There are 7,944, sorry, 5,944 of these. So I'm going to take each of these and delete the first bunch of words so that I have a set of categories. Now, I'm going to not take the whole thing, but maybe a few hundred of these to do sample topic modeling so that you get a feel for what topic modeling is. For this, I'm going to use a tool that we built that you don't have access to, but that doesn't matter because I'll give you access to another tool that will do the same thing. This tool lets me paste stuff and cluster any documents that I might have. How is it doing it? It is taking each of these documents, which is really something I'm searching for, looking at the semantic similarity between these. In this case, I'm looking for the movie Atithi, which is a Telugu movie, and it is exactly the same word. So it's found that this is one cluster, and I've looked for it 5 times. I've looked for Visu movies 5 times, but you'll notice that it's movie versus movies. And it's still saying that at 90% embedding threshold, these are the same. Let's reduce the threshold a bit. Now there is one cluster of Ranjana related stuff. Ranjana songs, Ranjana.
Text lookup or text similarity or semantic similarity?
This is semantic similarity, not text similarity. The logic behind the scenes is calculate the embeddings, find out the cosine similarity. Anything that is less than a certain threshold or more than a certain threshold, whatever, is what gets clustered. Here's another big cluster. This seems to be about general Telugu or Tamil movies. I don't seem to be too fussed, or it doesn't seem to be too fussed about the distinction. Here's an overlapping cluster with Simhadri, which is, I think, a junior NTR movie. And this, though I don't know why I watched it so much. Yeah, Bhagiraj movies, I watch a fair bit of. Great, but boring. Beyond a point. Interesting that these are the major ones, but I don't want to have to sit and do the work here. What is the model for? So the next step is to ask it to find maybe about 40 topics that I'm looking at, and you figure out the names for those topics yourselves. Use a good model like 4.1 mini that is also fast, and find the topics. So first it will do a k-means clustering of all of the stuff. It says student number 1, Vamanan. Okay, I don't know why these are similar, but oh, okay. Tamil movie parts, Maryada Ramanna films, Visu movies. Yes, changes dynamically in the sense that it created the titles dynamically. Next time I try it, it will probably give a different answer. But the way in which it named it was, given this clusters of documents, it creates the names that captures the spirit of each cluster, differentiated from the others. What was the process followed for this? Take of these 40 clusters, 5 samples. Pick the 5 most representative documents or searches for each of these. And in case they are longer than 200 characters, chop them at 200 characters. Ideally, I should truncate at the middle, but maybe I'm not doing that. And then send all of these 40 into 5, that is 200, times max 200 characters. So max 40,000 characters, which is what, 30,000 tokens, not a big deal, maybe 20,000, something like that. And then ask it to name each of those, which is what it has done. So okay, Pink Butterfly must be my wife. Crazy Mohan, Rockstar. Okay, Rockstar is not again my wife. Racha is probably, okay, could be either of us. And so on. So, okay, I get a sense of what are all the clusters.
Is it clubbing similar movies together?
Yeah, kind of. Here, for instance, the song Zara Zara Touch Me from Race is actually copied from Deep Inside the Bamboo Tree. And it's saying, okay, it doesn't matter whether you say Zara Zara Touch Me here or even, some of these. But now it's saying that, look, here are some that I'm putting into this cluster that I'm not very confident of. In fact, this one probably seems more outside the cluster than inside the cluster. So let's take it to the next level, which is to say, I've got a bunch of topics. Against these topics, You then do a reclassification. For each of these, which topic is the closest? Let's classify those. And dum. All right, so it's saying out of these, Bruce Willis is 20% similar to a Vishu movie, but if we keep going, is there something that it's closer to? Well, maybe not. Oh, it's gone beyond the screen. But let's take create infographics. That seems to be matching data visualization tools fairly well. So I can take the best match for each one of these and say, give me just the best. Oh, sorry. Okay, I did that. And for red, Bruce Willis, Rockstar movie song seems to be the closest. That's not really anything related to Bruce Willis. 42% Ranjana film songs, Jeene Laga Hoon. Is that a Ranjana film song? Does anyone know? Jeene Laga Hoon? Probably not. But then I can say, look, don't give me low cutoffs. Give me only stuff that has at least, let's say, a 45% cutoff. And then it says, okay, that's a match, this belongs to this category, and so on. So now I have a Jairam comedy against Crazy Mohan comedy. Yeah, it's overlap enough that I'm happy with it. So now I have something that gives me, for each of these searches, what are the topics that it matches. And then there's a big others list. But that's okay. I want an others list. I don't want it to misclassify. This is broadly topic modeling. How could you run this? We converted this into a library. One of my students wrote a library which is on PyPy called Topic Model. And I will put that in the chat window, WhatsApp. I'll come back to Mahesh's question. What this library does once I open it is, from the command line, if you firstly make sure that your OpenAI API key is exported, you can provide it a text file, one line per item. For example, if you have all your Google search history, all WhatsApp messages that people are talking about, whatever, one line per item, then just run UVX topic model, no need to install it, and it will create an output file that has all the topic model details. For example, if your docs.txt has these 5 sentences and you run it, and if you explicitly say end topics 2, you don't need to, it will figure out, or it has a default of 10, 30, something like that, some number of topics, but you can decide that you want so many topics based on k-means clustering. It will come up with something like this, a text file, tab delimited, that says this piece of text best matches this topic which it came up with by itself. And here are some of the details. Here is how similar it is to that particular topic, and so on. And then there's also a variation where you can create a visualization and stuff like that, which I'm not going to go into. But this is another way which offline you can try for getting insights from digital exhaust, which is take any textual data that you have, any logs that you've put in, run the embeddings. The embeddings are very cheap. Apply a model on top of it that will explain it. That is also cheap because we are not sending the entire documents, we are sending only a sparse sample of the documents, and you will get a result which then is matched in a rigorous way. This will work best for normal English. For what I was trying, it will not work so well because embeddings don't recognize song similarity that well, and these embedding models are ancient. So what would it work best for? Emails, email subjects, it's perfect. If you wanted to take all the email headers, just the subjects in particular, and say what are the kinds of email subjects that I'm getting, this is the best tool. Calendar as well. In the meantime, anyone else who's found any insight, please do share and let's discuss. Mahesh's question is, Google Takeout gives all data in JSON, but a lot of our personal data are in PDFs. What's a good practice to make them available in an efficient way? PDF to Markdown converters? Possibly. Or just upload your PDFs. Let's do that. So I'm going to be brave and go to Claude and give it all my bank statements.
Yeah, I might have a solution for this. So this happened, I don't have like a license on the chat, right? I have cursor. So what I did was I put that zip in this thing, in the cursor directory, and I gave the same prompt. So instead of just like, for you, it just took the whole thing as context and did, right? For me, it has written 5-6 scripts to do different steps on the data. And it also ran, installed some libraries and did some things as well using CLI also. So this can be handled more in agentic than this question.
Got you. And the short summary, therefore, or what I'm taking away from that is, to Mahesh, allow an agent to run it.
Yeah.
Now, the good part is ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini are also agents with the ability to run code.
So you supply a
So let's
zip
upload
file
it.
full of whatever data,
Yeah.
whatever format it is.
So it doesn't need to be uploaded in that case. We'll do the processing locally.
Locally.
So let me do exactly what you said, with only one twist, which is I'm doing the processing remotely. So I've uploaded a zip file with a bunch of PDFs. This has all of my bank statements. And we will put in the same prompt, which is analyze insights with a few small tweaks, analyze my bank statements like blah, blah, blah. And on the output format, I will tell it to ignore the exec summary and actionable report and just give me the narrative Malcolm Gladwell style story and let it run. My guess, bank statements are very well structured. It will have zero problem extracting it. It will probably make a mistake in 2% of the cases. For 2% for this kind of an analysis, it doesn't matter. I'm not balancing ledgers. Good point. The bank statements are password protected. I have removed the passwords on my bank statements and stored them. Yeah, correct. Exactly. So it's doing this. In the meantime, does Krishna's patterns in large weight good bad trades. Your best buys are all buys. Is that a known insight or is that new? New. Wow. You accumulate aggressively during weaknesses and often catch the inflection. What's your comment on that?
Now that it mentions it, it makes sense. I never thought of it that way.
Interesting. You never thought of it that way. Okay, but it makes sense. That is good to know. Worst calls are sales. You consistently exit early. Is that something you knew?
No, I don't.
Wow. Okay.
So, and because selling is as important as buying. And this is, useful to kind of reflect each time I sell going forward.
A very good point. A very good point, especially during temporary dips. And the classic pattern is that you sell on fear and stocks rebound immediately after. Okay. And this is ChatGPT, was it?
So I have the details. What I did is
Okay.
so what, Zerodha gives you a portfolio dump, which I do on a regular basis.
Wow.
It was there in my temp folder. So I was able to pull all the files from the temp folder into one folder just now. Use VS Code to create one integrated file out of it with the timestamps of each portfolio holding date. And I fed that into ChatGPT and asked it to analyze it for insights, concentration risk, what is the sector exposure over time, blah, blah, blah. And this is the most important insight which came out of it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And this is what we are hoping to get to. That is for each of us to take something that is meaningful. Simply by virtue of forcing ourselves to sit for 3-4 hours and getting something done from some data in an environment that is conducive to it, but we might not have done it otherwise. As simple as that. Please continue, because the kind of stuff that we get out of it, there's no end to the insights. Otherwise, I'd love for you to share. As long as it is something that you didn't know, please do share. And if it is something you already know, try again with any other data and we'll be able to find more stuff.
But what happened is I didn't realize that this is my repeated behavior. Because especially what happens when you sell something and exit a position, you don't track how it behaves subsequently. You try to kind of, forget it. Right? So, and then, especially, and here, I don't want to get into this data, it's not complete data. Because what happened here is if a stock has gone to a zero holding, the software doesn't know what the stock price was subsequently. If I went 100 shares to 50, 50 to 20, then there's a timestamp of the price also here. But if I went 100 to 0, then it doesn't show up in my subsequent holdings. So the software does not know what happened to the price.
So this went to the internet.
So no, it hasn't done it yet.
Okay.
So the next step would be, to say I'm going to have further timestamps even for positions where I exited fully.
Yeah.
And then see what happens. So this is partial data in some sense. It's not complete data.
You can retain a record of share prices even after you exit.
Yes, that's what I should be
Only
doing.
those you can't maintain all the shares, but.
Yeah, so ideally what I should do is convert this into a matrix, which has got essentially all holdings and timestamps of all dates with
And
prices as well as holding levels. That will be the next step.
Summarize then, when you exited something, was it good in the future? I mean,
Yes.
looking back from the future?
All the holdings. I think the next step is going to be change the windows, right? So here, like, what is the window? Is the window supposed to be 1 month? Window supposed to be 3 months. Like, it has to vibe with my style of investing. That hasn't happened here. It is, it assumed I'm a trader or I'm a short-term investor, long-term. I know what assumption is. All that I have to put in as my style.mdb.
I think you got more than your money's worth in the,
For those who didn't hear that, Mahesh's comment was Krishna got more than his money's worth from this session. Okay, from Bhavesh. You don't work a 9 to 5, you work an 8 to 12 and a 9 to 1. Okay, interesting. Wait, okay. And at night, our forensic analysis of 2,516 calendar events and network metadata reveals a double hump work pattern that defies biological rhythms. Wait, Bhavesh is you? Okay, fine. No, tell us more, Bhavesh, about this.
It's been like that. I mean, it's not like that now, but I think because past data, I'm an engineer, right? And my team is divided across US and India. So usually the meetings were either in the early morning or late night.
And your calendar is mostly empty between the 12 to 9
Yeah.
window. Nice, nice. Okay. So arguably not necessarily surprising. You knew this. Could you prompt it to find something that is surprising, and taking a cue from what Krishna discovered, could you even prompt it to say, give me something that is actionable? A, tell me something I don't know, and or I'm not likely to know, and B, something that I can do about it that will improve my lifestyle. Just continue.
That's there in the article.
That's there in the.
It's there in the article. It's generated over page. Right?
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, no, please take a look, and if there's something that you find that is truly surprising and useful, do share that as well. Again, if anyone else is finding anything else that is interesting, please continue sharing. My bank statement analysis is now at 27 steps. It is in detail parsing my bank statements, which we will let it do. Okay, this story we already saw. Okay, now let me go on to a couple of other things which are fairly easy to do, and you can process this in any way you want, but it's also something that you have likely seen. Yeah, don't I already have? Okay, yeah. See, let's start with Nano Banana. Nano Banana is a thinking model. And because it's a thinking model, it can do a fair bit of pre-processing beforehand and give you a result. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a transcript. In fact, let me take the transcript of my last workshop. And I'm going to give it to Nano Banana and say, get me insight. But there is a small twist, which you will see in a few seconds. First, let's take a look at my talks. My last talk was probably an SCDM keynote, which is transcribed here. So this is a fairly longish transcript. I think this has, yeah, okay, only one part. The prompt that I'm going to use again is something that I will type into vocalize into ChatGPT. Here is a transcript of a talk that I had delivered at the Clinical Data Management Society's annual conference. Find big, useful, and surprising insights from this talk and give it to me as a sketch note. Now, you've seen sketch notes, nice artistic representations, but the thing about sketch notes is they often depict what happened during a talk. I don't want what happened during the talk, I want the insights coming out of that. Let's give it to Nano Banana with thinking mode enabled. This thinks It really thinks a lot and then draws the picture. Not saying that the picture is letter perfect. There's 1%, 0.5%, maybe even less. Sorry, I uploaded. Yeah, I pasted the script below, and well, it's somewhere here. It's a long piece of input. But once I ask it to deliver the insights as a sketch note, hopefully eventually it will also generate the image. So it's thinking about some. Okay, it's still generating something. Oh, did I clicked the stop button, which I didn't intend to. Let me. Okay, fine. Even now, let me just generate a sketch note. Let it continue, but my guess is that's what it would have done even otherwise. And if it doesn't, big deal. We have two parts. One where we just have the conversation with it, get the insight, and then have it generate the sketch note. Now, sketch note is a popular format, an easy to understand format, but is it the only format? And if everybody starts creating sketch notes, then what is the big deal? Right? So let's ask Claude the following question. Again, I'm going to type the question into ChatGPT, dictate the question to ChatGPT. I'm creating sketch notes from documents and talk transcripts, which is useful, but sketch notes are not a very unusual format. I mean, it's almost become commonplace. I want some other formats which are less popular, but still as engaging and as effective as a sketch note in communicating the bulk of the information that has happened at an event like a talk. Can you review and identify half a dozen such and pick 2 or 3 formats for me that I could use? Give it to me in a form that is concise and passable to an image model like Nano Banana. That way, I know that I just have to copy paste. And this helps. Trust me, being able to tell an LLM, just give it to me in a copy pastable way, saves you so much of review time. And I'm going to change just one word here. Instead of review, I'm going to say research and ask Claude to do it. Why not ask ChatGPT to do it? I find Claude to be, when generating prompts, Claude tends to give the most succinct prompts. ChatGPT tends to give the most verbose prompts. ChatGPT's opinion is, I am smart, the other model is likely to be dumb, I will over-specify. Claude's opinion is, people are roughly equally smart, I will share it in a way that I will understand, and that works well for me because that's also less review time for me. Gemini is closer, Gemini Pro 3 Pro is closer to Claude in that sense, so I use it as an alternative. But if I wanted to give a prompt to a weaker model, let's say I want to give a prompt to Claude 4.5, okay, Claude 4 HiQ or GPT 4.1 Mini, then I would go to ChatGPT and say, now you give me the prompt, because you can be prescriptive, you can use your intelligence, which distills that into something a weaker agent can just execute or weaker model can execute just step by step. Let that happen. Has the other story come through? Okay, it's still analyzing my bank statements. Have anyone else shared any stories? Okay, we have a bunch more. That is lovely. Srichand, who's in the room? Yes. Okay, Srichand. Let's zoom in. You don't ride when you're motivated. Ride meaning bike, cycle. Okay. You ride more when things are slightly out of control. Your highest volume phases correlate with irregular sleep hours, late night, early morning rides, cramped clusters of activities with almost no recovery days. Is this something you knew?
But not in this way.
Not
I
in
think
this
that's
way.
Coping, but I've not understood the statistics. Very insightful.
This is insightful.
Next 3 lines.
Okay, you cycle most when life is least stable, not when you feel disciplined, but when you feel restless. That's why your best months were not your best phases in life. How much data did you upload? there were transitions, identity changes, unfinished chapters. You didn't cycle harder because you were inspired. You cycle harder because you were processing something. And this isn't guesswork, it's traceable. Bursts of 4 p.m. plus 2 a.m. rides, my God. Irregular patterns, 30 days in a row and then none. No periodic structure, not weekly, not monthly. Motivated people form habits. Restless people form spikes. Your archive shows spikes. My God. If this isn't a roast, I don't know what is. You bite to metabolize chaos. Wow.
So we really do 2 a.m. right?
Yeah, later, usually after 12.
What about dogs?
Okay, that was really powerful. That was really powerful. Okay, this is something that's worth combining with Google Calendar data to go deeper. Yeah, that's a fair point, Bhavesh. Okay, Anirudh is here. Okay. 176 days, you consumed approximately 1,500 hours of video. That's a 4-minute average per video assumption. Got it? And the content from thousands of unique creators, a diet that defied easy categorization. Okay, thousands of creators is fascinating. You are not the algorithm's ideal user. You didn't binge, you didn't rewatch, you don't loyalty subscribe. You are a grazer in a platform designed for bingers. YouTube doesn't know what to do with you. Oh wow, okay. So how much of this is a surprise to you and how much of this did you know?
Yeah, I don't binge, but then this is very surprising to see the numbers.
Okay, surprising to see the numbers. And I think that is a meta pattern that seems to be emerging. We kind of know a certain amount of this, but not quite as starkly or as quantitatively. And that reinforces, I guess, some of what we know, but also deepens some of what we didn't know. Fascinating, fascinating. Please continue sharing, continue sharing. And if you've got one insight, get another one. But here are 3 picks that Claude has for me. Radial maps. Create a central topic in the middle, major themes as picture segments radiating outside, blah, blah, blah. And a prompt that I can give is a radial diagram with a central circle labeled topic and blah. Okay, that sounds something that is worth trying. It will look nice. Zettelkasten network. This is the most different paradigm. Network diagram with rectangular card boxes containing single concepts connected by labeled arrows showing relationships like a neural network or knowledge graph. Okay, yeah, kind of. Journey maps, horizontal journey map with 6 to 8 illustrated box sequences, wavy emotional curve line. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, let's try these. What we'll do is, apart from the sketch note, redraw as and a journey map with storyboards. Yeah, I'm just going to take the whole thing and Control C, Control C, put it out here. Okay, that is one, but let's take a look at the sketch note of the talk that I had delivered for this clinical trials thingy. How do you zoom out? Okay. AI in clinical data management, the rest of it. Okay, big insights from the talk. The pace and the shift, old ways, new programming language. Yeah. Okay. For someone who's in the clinical data management space, this would be a useful summary. But what it's missing, and I clearly did not ask for it, is the engagement factor. I said, give me a sketch note. It gave me the average sketch note. Let's apply style transfer to this sketch note. And what we'll do is, or if not style transfer, at least have it deliver. Okay, redraw the earlier sketch note okay, no. Yeah, no, I'm just going to take the same original prompt, copy it, open Gemini, and ask it, instead of big useful surprising insights, generate a sketch note that is funny and engaging. Most important, funny and engaging. Now, why am I iterating that? Because unlike the GPT class of models, I have not yet tested how faithfully Gemini 3 or Nano Banana Pro follow instructions. With Claude, I tend to do this at least once with capitals, if not twice. With GPT, starting GPT 4.1 series, I stopped doing it with the GPT 4.1 class of models, because when I do that, it takes those instructions so literally that sometimes, even when it is not possible, it won't stop. Even when I have given it contradictory instructions, it will somehow find a crazy solution that is some utter obscure edge case that meets every single instruction that I provide. So these days, my instruction sequence has changed to, from do this to where convenient, consider doing this. Very gently. And it will very seriously consider and say, I gave it very serious thought, I have considered it deeply, and for these 17 reasons, I believe that it is not the appropriate thing to do, and therefore I'm taking. Thank God. That's how crazy. Okay. Now I learned something. It did all the thinking, but it did not draw the image. So it looks like I do have to take the thinking step versus drawing step in two separate parts. It's not able to automatically combine those. In the meantime, Claude failed on my bank statement analysis. After all of that work, yeah, it just gave up. So let's try again. Let's see where it goes. This will probably not even finish in this session. Wait, hold on. I said Nano Banana. Did it not? This is sketch note. Okay. Okay, generate the sketch note as an image. Keep it funny and engaging. Fine, so clearly I know that Gemini needs a little more work on the instruction following side of things. GPT models would not make this kind of a mistake. But on the style side of things, we missed this. Yeah. Okay. This is a useful one, something that I could even use in corporate decks, I think, which is showing a timeline. What we're finding is that Notebook LM is now able to generate slides purely through images, and the slides are pretty good. You may say, hold on, that defeats my purpose because I want to be able to edit the slides. That is true. But if you do not want to edit the slides, then using Nano Banana Pro for slide generation is now increasingly a possibility. Any other insights? Okay, can I please share the prompt for the sketchnote exercise? Sure. It's actually just, okay. I will share the prompt with minor, there's a transcript, find useful surprising and give it, and draw it as a sketch note. Let me share that as a reply to this. So you can try this out, and yeah, do try the sketch note prompt, but it's really nothing more than draw a sketch note. And remember, part of it is a discovery of new styles, and a style applies to image prompts as well. So that can make a big difference. I'm going to close this, keep this for posterity. And yeah, okay, this is supposedly a funnier one. Clinical Data Genie and the 40-cent PhD intern. Holy cow, it's fast intro. You know ChatGPT, but you're missing the pace. It's crazy town. traditional pharma speed is abacus. And okay, this is a child that is growing. Okay, this is a clever analogy. Yeah, and it hits the mark. $1 billion boredom versus 2-cent solution. Old method, $500,000 to $2 million of following a 68-page guideline, the soul crushing reading, and now it's done before your coffee cools for a few cents. True. So treat it like a genie, an employee or a really eager intern who doesn't need to sleep. Yeah, that is so true. I read, you saw the Hacker News scraper that I showed as a bookmarklet, right? So there was a thread that Simon Willison had posted about Brenda. Now, there was a TikTok video about Brenda, who's this random employee in the finance department, who's the only one who makes the Excel sheets in the entire company work. And because of AI, she gets fired. What's going to happen? It's an imaginary video. But there was a 1,000 comment, or at least 500 comment thread on it, which I passed to Claude and said, no, give it to me as a Malcolm Gladwell story. It was fascinating to see. But one of the comments that it surfaced there, and it said, here's something that a lot of people resonate with, is this. The value that a human is providing is partly the accountability, partly the quality assurance that they provide, partly the flexibility that they can do things beyond the system can provide, etc. But it comes at a significant cost that the manager has to accept this quality level and in return be polite to that person. Take whatever idiosyncrasies that person has, cannot slave drive them, partly because of regulation, partly because of human decency, all of which are problems that vanish with an AI. So if I don't really need that level of quality, which happens in several cases because I as a manager half the time don't want a solution, I just want to pass on the problem to somebody else. When I get an email, I don't want to necessarily give a thoughtful reply to that email, I just want to get it out of my inbox. Not in every case, but enough times that's what I want to do. So I copy it, I put it into ChatGPT, whatever reply comes, I don't bother reading it, I send it back, it's out, somebody else's problem. And there are many such Brendas whose function is merely to take the problem away from my plate and put it into somebody's plate, in which case I would rather have someone who has no idiosyncrasies, who can work 24 hours a day, whom I can scream at and they will say nothing. So much better. And on top of that, they're cheaper. No brainer. Of course, I'll fire my employees. So what people are missing when they say, oh, AI is going to take over my work, is that AI is going to take over the problem, that pain you are causing as well, just that your manager didn't value the work as much as they undervalued the pain. That's also a factor to keep in mind. And so on. It's definitely a funny and interesting one. So we will come back to this later. Any others? Okay. Nishant was added. Cool. All right. We are at 4:46. The plan was, original plan was to go until 6, and we can offline do that. But my aim is to wrap this up in the next 15 minutes plus some spillover. So if there are any stories, please do add. But I do want to, in case I miss summarizing towards the end, I want to make sure that I am capturing some of the summaries. One, at least some of you have learned something that surprised you based on your own data. Now, it doesn't get more insightful than that. That is powerful. You also tried it with a few prompts, perhaps based on what I shared, perhaps based on your own, but either way, that prompt led you, at least on this data set, to something that was insightful. Tweak it. But remember to apply, as you tweak it, the principle of postmortem. And the postmortem principle is simply that when you don't get what you want, you say, I didn't get what I wanted, this is roughly what I wanted, or this is what you did wrong. Why did this happen? And what should I tell you next time so that it doesn't happen? Then tell it to do that. Of course, you can just continue prompting, but the postmortem is for you to learn. If you don't like the way it wrote it, whether it's the way the insights were crafted, whether it's the way the narration happened, whether it's the way the chart was created, whatever, use style transfer. And what that will allow you to do is pick the style of someone you liked, whoever it is, and apply that. And it's trained on all kinds of styles. So it will be able to pick it up. If you're not even able to get to the data in the first place, then if you are able to see it, you should be able to get to it. And that's where the techniques around CDP and the use of Playwright and the likes come in.
Style transfer, sorry. Did you share the style transfer kind of prompt that you did in the chat?
I believe I did, but let's find out. Did I share the style transfer prompt? There was a, okay, maybe not. So let me share the exact prompt, set of prompt, my catalog really, styles.md. This is my style catalog. Now, please keep in mind that this is my style catalog, meaning two things. One, it's a long list, 99% of which I never use. It's just there for the future. Second, it is mine. You may have no interest in any of these, but you get the idea. Okay, Jesh, you're able to get a fairly neat sketch for a transcript classroom that you put it. Please do share. We want to see it. Okay, so that's the meta lesson. Now, a few things that I wanted to talk about that I didn't get into because these would have been too advanced and leaving it at that. We kind of covered one thing, which is the data storytelling. You saw the write as a Malcolm Gladwell part, but all after that was also a write it like a New York Times data visualization. In my case, at least in one scenario, it did that where it took my Google Play Store data and created this. It said 17,000 app opens. I had no idea I did this over the last 10 years. 137 apps, I would have guessed that. 30 daily users as of 2025. Okay, didn't know. And year-on-year growth. This is a definite surprise. But here's the thing. This is a full-fledged data story, New York Times style with, of course, there's not much data for charts, but it's capable of creating a distinctive style, pattern, etc. And you can make it even more distinctive. So when asking for output formats, Sketchnotes is one that we saw. Data story is another output format that is increasingly proving useful. Here's how I do it. I take our organization's HubSpot data. And I'm not going to show that here because that has confidential information. But that said, for instance, as a nice story, here are 700 contacts for whom you have no proposals. That is just a dead asset. Do something about it. It said, here are 13 deals, the total value of which is over 28 million, for which there has been no activity for the last 2 weeks. If there's no activity for 2 weeks, the deal is probably gone and the value is too high, focus on these. It said, here are about $14 million worth of deals where there is only one single contact in the client organization. If they leave, if they change division, whatever happens to them, their entire relationship with the company is gone. Do something about it. All of these came in the form of a data story. Now, all I have to do is take the HubSpot data dump, pass it, give it the prompt and say, give it to me as a professional data story. It could be a dashboard, but here's the thing. The dashboard is meant for people who don't know what they want, to ask people who have no idea what to give them something to deliver, which in turn gets passed to a poor vendor who says we have capability in doing all kinds of AI generated augmented dashboards. In other words, nobody knows what they're talking about. If the person does not know what they want and you want to give them something which does not help them, give them a dashboard. If the person knows what they want, simple, give them what they want. But if they don't know what they want and you still want to give them something that's useful, generate a data story like this and give it to them. It will work consistently. I have not found an exception to this. That prompt that I've used, I've repeatedly tried it. No exceptions. The first cut is always good. Not best, not perfect, always good. After slides is another format that I've been playing around with a lot. Let's show you something. I took one of Zainab's talks, building a culture of openness at India FOSS. Took the transcript and said, give me the slides. Which it did. That's what I'm going to do for this session. I didn't prepare the slides beforehand. I'm recording the talk. There's going to be a YouTube video, but there are also going to be slides. Follow the slides at that point if you want. And I'll tell it to generate the slides in a way that is slightly more easier to follow and stuff like that. But not just that, after that I have an appendix which says now give the people who follow this a quiz so that they can check their learning. What are all the mistakes that were made during the talk? What are all the things that are counterpoints to what the speaker said? What is some feedback that you can give to the speaker to improve? In other words, stuff for me after this session to figure out where I can improve, what all mistakes I made. There's probably a big bunch. Useful. I call them after slides. Very powerful. We covered Sketchnote already. RSS is boring. I'm going to skip that. Chart. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to go into. Okay, maybe I'll cover one more. You've seen the podcast that Notebook LM generates. Beautiful. Now, this is something you can do in a very systematic way. And how do you do it? You tell Cloud Code, I want to generate a podcast from this content. Here's an example. My GitHub profile has the following. My GitHub profile is a podcast of my GitHub activity, auto-generated every week. You may not be able to listen to it offline or online, but I'm going to try playing it. Oh, okay, not this one. The podcast is here. I'm going to try playing it for luck. Okay, this won't work. If I click on it, I have to, open this.
Weekly Codecast for the week of 30th of November, 2025.
We're Alex and Maya, and today we'll walk you through the highlights of Anand's commits this week.
First up, Anand spent a lot of time polishing his data stories site, narrative pages, charts, and the code that scrapes and cleanses data for those stories.
Right. The big visible thing is a student analysis story that got renamed and reworked. We now have a clear before and after, an older framing plus a new framing that Anand calls the cliff, and a separate page showing where students actually got stuck at a particular step.
Practically, that means readers can see both the original interpretation and the updated one. And
This is not particularly interesting to you, but I listen to it every week. And I get a sense of what is it that I did. The underlying prompt for this, and I'll show you the code is all there in the same repository, but the prompt is probably the more useful one. This is a two-step prompt. Well, three steps arguably. Step one is get all of my commits. Step two is this the one? No, this is probably not the podcast hub. You are a podcast script assistant and write the script for a specific week, take all the JSON commits, and then give it as an engaging, lay-friendly dialogue between two enthusiastic hosts. Here's how you open the show. And then for each repository, talk about what are the changes that I made. Think silently, think holistically about the commits. What really happened, why, what is important. And what I get out of this when I listen to it is, okay, I made this particular change, and this particular thing. These are the patterns that I was doing. I get completely lost in the day-to-day work. That it helps me to have something play back what I did at the end of the week. Yet another way of mining digital exhaust in a very different format. And I also ask it to share non-obvious takeaways and practical ideas. Every week, it gives me at least one or two ideas of changes that I should be making. It's saying, look, you did this for repositories A, B, and C. You updated the package.json file to follow the convention. There are 18 other repositories for which it's just a one prompt thing to make that change. Why not do that? That's a good practice. Absolutely. So some of those ideas are coming by it going through my digital exhaust. But the format is something that I can listen to on the road. WhatsApp as well. There's another group that, there's a generative AI group that I'm part of. Lots of conversations, good stuff. I have no way of processing this. So instead, I've converted it into weekly podcasts. I just use the same WhatsApp bookmarklet, append it to one huge JSON file, have it generate weekly podcasts. I can read it, but it's far easier for me to listen to it. This is the text. The MP3 file is in the releases of this and keeps getting appended to it as a podcast that comes into my phone. And this is the podcast. It specifically says this person said that, that person said this. Every week I get 2 or 3 interesting things that I should try out. I usually listen to this on the phone with me taking notes on the phone as well, saying this is a library to try, this is a model to explore, this is a new technique to try out, and so on. another form of digital exhaust mining. This is personal digital exhaust, my WhatsApp messages. And you can convert that or anything else into podcasts. The sheer variety of formats is mind-boggling. The sheer variety of data is mind-boggling. The fact that it's all yours means that it is unique. That is not going to be taken away by any company. That is not going to be taken away by any app. That's not going to be taken away by any model. Personal data is about as well unique as it gets. And the techniques are growing and transferable. Whether you're scraping using CDP, whether you're applying style transfer, whether you're doing postmortems, any of these, you can apply in any of a variety of areas. So my aim here was to give you an exposure to the kinds of output formats, to the input techniques, and the kinds of data, which you can mishmash together to get value at different levels. What should you do next? Practice. Whatever you remember, practice. Whatever you don't remember, check out the video. Video is going to be too long. Don't read the video. Have it, treat that as personal digital exhaust. Process it in the same way. See what you're able to figure out. With that, I wish you all the best. Try as much as you can. Share what you can. People will benefit from it. Thank you for joining in. For those online, the session is over. Actually, even for those not online, the session is over. But if there are any questions, very happy to take them, including from those on the session. But yeah, formally, we have concluded.
Can you share the postmortem prompt?
I have already shared the postmortem prompt, I think. Post confessions. Okay, I shared it in the. Okay, I'll tell you where it is. It was called Fragments.
Or the fragment one?
Yeah, exactly. That the Fragments one has the postmortem prompt. And oof, this is a nice one.
I like the things that it picked up from the transcript and it actually gave, which I have not seen before.
No, and also.
Maybe, I mean, this is, I know, rudimentary, very simple as that, but it was able to.
Yeah, but I know, see, part of what I'm also realizing is what we can extract from what an LLM generates. And one of the things that I'm learning is, from a style perspective, you don't necessarily need to have the sketch note as the primary element. It can be a prop in the background that people are interacting with, which is another style. So that's a takeaway for me.
The fragment is 5 minutes. The right one is 89 years.
The Fragments has a whole series of prompts. The last one in that is called Confessions. I'll open the fragment.
You were going to tell about the William Rose.
Oh yeah, the data set. I will do. Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Sorry. I will
Did you do any analysis on multimodal inputs?
change the main branch to live branch. Change the main branch in the URL to live branch. You will get the latest. Sorry. I'll come to multimodal after I answer the first one, which is Billion Rows. We had a bunch of Parquet files locally. Another was High Court's judgment data. This is in fact part of not a Fifth Elephant talk, Data Hack Summit talk, and you'll find this in my list of talks folder, where from the High Court's data, we analyzed all of this by telling Claude, I have these Parquet files remotely on S3, query them remotely because they're too large to download. Parquet files and S3 support HTTP ranges. So run the query and do the analysis. Beautiful stories. The data, yeah. So if you have, for instance, the massive databases that you have in Google BigQuery, you can have it write the Google BigQuery queries.
But it takes longer than like 2 hours or whatever.
If it takes longer than 2 hours, tell it to write queries that will not take 2 hours. No, I treat it as a person. If one of my reportees comes back and says, sorry, I can't do it because the query failed because it ran for over 2 hours, I will get as exasperated with them as with the LLM. And the LLM will say, bloody, how stupid are you? But with the LLM, I also have the advantage of then saying, okay, I know it makes this mistake. If it makes this mistake again, I will put it in my agents.md. Never write queries that take longer than maybe, whatever, 30 seconds. If it does, refactor it, keep checking the progress, whatever. You said something about multimodal.
Did you, what's your experience on doing analysis of multimodal data in case of internet? Was there a problem statement that took place?
What's my experience on multimodal? Let me interpret that as processing image data for a minute.
Not necessarily, maybe image with text with, let's say, tables and I don't know.
Got you. In such cases, and a classic example is a PDF. I usually delegate.
Or lecture video with transcript.
Got you. Or a lecture video with a transcript. I usually delegate the problem to an agent and accept whatever quality it gives me. When the quality is something that needs to be client ready, models as of last month when I checked are not yet ready. Agents are ready but expensive. Agents are not yet able to capture what they are doing into a repeatable piece of code that does not require their execution. So the current solution that we are using is an agent harness. Harness, meaning here is the prompt. Roughly, I'm ad-libbing, I might get it wrong, so I'll correct myself. Write a program do the following analysis. Take this multimedia thingy and do multimodal thingy and do whatever. And step 2, write whatever tools and utilities you needed for that as a script so that you can do it again. This is iteration 1. Next day when we have to do it again, it's yesterday you did this for this data set. Now do the same thing for this data set, but save yourself tokens by reusing the scripts that you used last time and updating them as you go along. Next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. So it creates its own tools for self-improvement. I'm saving tokens because it is leveraging past knowledge, but I'm also increasing reliability by having the agent run it. Yeah. The agent is, harness is actually also used in other terminology, but yeah, basically the agent is running the code. So there are 3 modes, right? The agent does it. The agent writes code that does it. This is the 3rd mode. The agent writes and runs and improves the code that does it.
I would like to actually see the CDP running. Once you are done, I will take your help to.
Absolutely.
It's not been working.
Okay. Let's explore that.
So that would be very powerful.
The session really is done.
You don't want to leave it.